A village, a boy, a prophecy. You're just a young villager minding your own business in the middle of a conflict-riddled world. Your family is just trying your best to get by, especially with the invasion of the Imperial Army closing in. Because of that, your dream to see the vast world in front of you needs to take a back seat. On a trip to the forest, you found it. The legendary sword left by the heroes of legend. It was stuck to the tomb that became the monument of their sacrifice. Curious, you wrap your fingers around the handle, failing to lift the sword up. That was fully expected, you think? Suddenly, you hear the voice of someone being chased by the Imperial Army through the forest. A girl and her little fairy companion are escaping the pursuit of the demon general. Pressed by the situation, you make haste and help them fight, not realizing that you managed to lift and wield the sword. From then on, your journey of good versus evil, light versus darkness, the hero against a tyrant starts. It's only one of many classic JRPG stories you can weave through the innovative system of Fabula Ultima, where you, my friends, are the main characters. Welcome to NonsensIcal, a series where I, Ical, talk about anything from TRPG, pop culture, anime, to the idea of a flying fridge. Well, there should definitely be a point being made. Just like the title of the series, this whole thing may as well be some nonsense about how Fabula Ultima became the perfect TTRPG for the chosen ones. Hear, feel, think. The very definition of being a main character is being the warrior of light in Final Fantasy XIV. While not everything that happens revolves around you, you're the main force pushing the story forward to where it is, to where it should be. This also applies to many stories across the JRPG genre. 2B and 9S are hardly special, but they are the ones who discovered the many secrets of the world in Nier Automata. Amamiya Ren, or the protagonist of Persona 5, doesn't have all conflict revolving around him, but his initial defiance to the main antagonist became the main gear that progresses the story throughout the game. Kingdom Hearts, while not being a traditional JRPG, has Sora as one of the centers of everything in the story. Being the main protagonist isn't about being the center of the world, but being the one pushing that world to a certain direction. This concept, though, doesn't apply to traditional TTRPG, such as the ever-so-popular Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. You play as an adventurer within a sandbox or a world where everything runs in parallel. You most likely will be pushed to an adventure that doesn't have anything to do with you personally. Surely, this will still bring an epic, heroic, overarching tale, but it will be detached from your character's personal story. Mostly, your issues with that stepfather of yours will have little to do with someone stealing the Storm King's thunder, Percy Jackson. Many of these problems can be solved by practically ignoring a certain part of 5th edition and doing homebrewed games, but the system still has it at the very core. Many TTRPG horror stories came from the detached nature of this traditional TRPG system. Players derailing a campaign, or deciding that they don't care about the main problem, or on the complete opposite side, the so-called main character syndrome where they just care too much, are a few of the examples. While the sandboxy nature of such game works for the majority of players, some others desire the JRPG feel of being the main protagonist. This is where Fabula Ultima stands. How? By enhancing the one thing that's lacking in most other TRPG. The one thing that brings out the role of the heroes in the story. So let's press start and see what the main menu of Fabula Ultima has to offer for our journey. Before that though, there's another button that you need to press. Yeah, it's that subscribe button down there. There you go. Let's go back to the nonsense. The first standout thing of this system is the game creation step of a campaign, the Session 0. Fabula Ultima itself is a setting-agnostic game that needs its world and game to follow the 8 pillars: ancient ruins and harsh lands, a world in peril, clashing communities, everything has a soul, magic and technology, heroes of many sizes and shapes. It's all about the heroes and mystery, discovery and growth. 2 of these pillars are about the players. How they, 1, need to be heroes and should incline to do the right thing, and 2, how most if not all events in the game should tie to the heroes. The system itself suggests the game to be about the protagonist and advises players to act as protagonists. How is the system allowing this? By starting Session 0 with world creation as a group. The world that is created is not something that the game provides. It's not something that's written in a setting expansion or a module. It's also not something that the GM entirely created. While the GM will definitely still do some kind of heavy lifting later on, the world creation phase is something that brings each player's interest into the game. What kind of magic system and technology? What kind of cities or kingdoms, mysteries to the threat do they really want to be in the game? All of this is discussed by the whole group, from the name of the world to where they actually are in the map. Why is this important? This brings the players to a world that they care about and to mysteries they're already interested in from the get-go. After the table is done with the world, they then proceed to the group creation. The players now decide who the whole party is, what kind of story they want to go through, and how will the group explore that. Creating such group dynamics from the start brings the players reasons for their character to stay together as a team, or at least reasons for them to work on their characters being a team in the game. A functional, properly coordinated, and tight-knit party of heroes is, after all, one of the most important aspects of JRPG. Unless it's modern times and you're trying to make a more Western action RPG experience. I'm looking at you, Forspoken and Final Fantasy XVI, or basically the past few years of Square Enix. Well, in the end, whatever you make, it will be your identity as a group for the game, and that will be a reference for the last step: creating your characters. It's far from a new thing, but it's definitely one that's rarely used in a fantasy TRPG system. Fabula Ultima uses a more modular system and puts emphasis on multi-classing and character creation. With your level ranging from 1 to 50 that is built around 5 to 7 classes, you have all the tools to be the spatial one. Your build is yours alone because the number combination is literally infinite. Well, the real number is 14,443, but that's not including the 11 other classes from 3 different expansions. Well, that will be... anyway, it's a lot of combinations! All of this will become the basis of GM's crafted story. It will take place in a world that you created around the kind of group and theme that you picked. GMs in this game are also encouraged to create stories around the player's choices of class combination. Picking Arcanist means part of the story is to find other Arcanas. Tinkerers will be creating projects and looking for cool materials as part of the story. All of this exists to push you as the center of the tale. So build your world, create your group, and take on a role with your friends, because the next thing to do is to fight for the greater good. Sticking with the theme of player agency, Fabula Ultima brought something new and fresh to the TTRPG environment. In this system, in this game, players take hold some part of the reign and have a role in steering the story. The systems are equipped with all the tools for players to help the group create a meaningful heroic tale. with the surrender and sacrifice system, while still getting huge penalties and consequences. You get to choose whether or not your character will die when you reach 0 HP. This is also complemented by the opportunity system that happens as a reward for critical success. You can use this opportunity to further progress the story by gaining upper hands, creating plot twists, gaining more information from the enemy, and many more listed here. The one most important thing though is the one core plot-driven mechanic, the Fabula point. So, you are now fighting the general of the Imperial Army, Darth Vader. Your character, Luke Skywalker, lost one of his hands and is now facing him, waiting in pain to be finished off. Wait, Game Master, have we ever discovered who's behind Darth Vader's mask? No, I don't think so. Why? Well, I believe I have written Anakin Skywalker as my already departed Jedi Master father. Yes, I believe so. So, can I use one Fabula point to alter and change a detail in the story so it turns out my father is Darth Father? You want Darth Vader to be Anakin Skywalker? Yes. So Darth Vader looks at you in the eyes and says, "No, Luke, I am your father." No! The Fabula point is a resource owned by your character that signifies their importance as a hero protagonist of the story. You start at 3 FP at level 1 and will get more as you go. There are 3 ways to utilize this point generally. 1. To invoke your trait and reroll 1 or 2 dice. Explain how your identity, your background story, and everything else affect your ability to do something. Remember those flashback moments in anime? That's them invoking traits. 2. To invoke your bonds and gain bonuses on your checks. Explain how your bonds with friends, enemies, the world, parents, that one school you went to, and others affect your conviction. 3. Well, the third one is my favorite. Alter the story. As long as it creates a more beautiful story and makes it more fun for everyone on the table, you can use a Fabula point to add something new or alter an already established element of the story. As long as the other players and your GM agree, the sky is not even the limit. Now, why are these important? Putting more narrative agency and story building roles to the players are what's gonna create the best memorable experiences as chosen ones. To be honest, it also lightens the GM's job a little bit. You know, what also lightens GM's job? The complete opposite of Fabula Point. The Ultima Point. It's a resource for your villains. The big, bad, evil guy who's probably not big, not bad, and not a guy. They are definitely evil though. GMs can use those to empower the villains to reroll using their traits and to escape with a plot armor. I always come back. Now, I hope you understand why it is what I called it. The perfect one for the chosen one. Of course, the system has limitations. It doesn't fit the usual sandbox playstyles. Its stories are going to be the more linear ones that expect you to be doing the right thing. But those are why it's the perfect one for you who wants to topple evil. It's the perfect one for you who are village kids on their way to destroy the distorted gods, dragons, Titans! So close your eyes and look deep into your heart. Because if you hear that call for you to bring back the light, reach out and press that start button. As I end this video, if you want to know more about Fabula Ultima and where to access it, pay Knit Games website and the author Rooster MS Patreon a visit. If you want to know how a Fabula Ultima game is played, watch our actual play series, Chaos Ascend, where I GM 2 campaigns in parallel. In the meantime, see you later, weeps.